Hello, I'm going to demonstrate how to use MetaCTF's Secure Coding Sandbox. Here we have an example of a secure coding challenge that uses the sandbox. There's a short description here, but if we click the link, we'll be taken directly to the challenge. On the left side, we have a short piece of vulnerable code, and on the right side, we have some information telling us this is a PHP application that does read some product data from a MySQL database. If we go ahead and click the button to deploy the code, it will send this code over to a server where it actually runs it, and we can click this link to access the web server that's running this code. It's a very simple application. We can change a parameter in the URL to query different parts of the database. However, this code is vulnerable to what's known as SQL injection. You'll notice that the user input supplied by the URL gets placed directly into the SQL statement that gets run against the database. I've prepared here a SQL injection payload that will basically cut to the end of the query early and then query for the users from the users table. If we encode this in URL format, I can go to the application here, paste our attack payload, and you'll see now we've leaked the usernames of the users into the database. This is obviously not desirable, and someone could also use this to leak their passwords as well, ideally their hashes. And in fact, if we click Run Tests, the backend will run a similar test against this running application, notice that the vulnerability is still there, and fail us. Our goal here is to patch this code so that this vulnerability no longer applies, and yet maintain the functionality of the application. So for example, if I were to just make it reject all requests and deploy the new code, you'd see we would get no response, and if we run the tests, it's still not letting us succeed at this challenge because I've broken the program. There's a bunch of ways to patch this. One sort of naive one is to just apply a blacklist of certain characters, and that would be valid for this. The proper way to patch it, however, is to do what's called a SQL parameterized query. If I go ahead and replace this vulnerable string interpolation with some code that prepares a SQL parameterized query with one parameter right here, and inserts the user's input as a parameter into that query, now if I deploy that and open up the link, you'll see that the application does still work. I can use it as expected, but if I try to paste the attack code, it doesn't seem to be working anymore. And in fact, if I run the tests, it will tell me I've patched it successfully because the program still works, but the vulnerability is no longer there. And if I go ahead and paste that flag, I'll receive the points for that challenge.